Okay, today we're out in the shop. Well, this is one half of the shop. The half that I'm standing in to shoot this would be clear over here. It's the cleaner half of the shop, if there is such a thing. Anyway, what I thought I was going to dig through today is I know I've got some boxes that would show the neon lighting and tubing, not only for Robby but for the Lost in Space. And I believe also the silicone rubber molds that I use when I cast my urethane Robby hands rather than the foam latex hands like I had gotten from Bill Malone. So I'm not quite sure where we need to be. I know the boxes are over in this corner here, so I'll move you a little bit closer for now, and then I think we're going to have to readjust the camera again here in a second. But let's start there. Because I think it might be these boxes, since they say Robby. This is Robby lights. Oh, yeah, so there's all kinds of extra Robby lights here. Here's the 1441s, and these are. I've got to turn this screen on the camera so I can tell if I'm in there. Okay. So you can see here we have some of the ones that I've already got tinted blue, some that are still the stock white, and some that I've stripped clear, which could be tinted any other color. So I've got my extra Robby lights there. Never had one burn out yet. Got the smaller bayonet lights that are used like in the Geneva. And here's some tinted red screw base blinkers like you use in the B9 robot. Oh, neon, okay. Let's get that box out of the way. And large neon transformers like you might use in the Lost in Space robot to light up all that tubing. I've got various different ones. And here we have some battery operated ones. So I think what I'm going to bring over closer to the camera is I see a box of small drivers, and right here on top here is one of Robby's tubes. Now they're all different lengths, but this would be a good example. There's a box of drivers we're going to go through and play around with here in a second. But here you can see the tube. When I had the tubes made, I basically went and bought a lot of 1/4-inch copper pipe and then bent the copper pipes to the exact, to the arc, because it's a 3-dimensional arc in order to fit in the head and where the electrodes were going to go. So I pre-bent those and took them into the neon guy and said, this is the shape, bend your glass tubes to match, and so he did. And the neon's not really something you're going to be able to do at home. He, besides shaping the tube and putting the electrodes in and evacuating it, and then he purges it with something else to clean it again. Then you take that out and you put in the proper neon. You put in the drop of mercury so they'll glow blue. And then you have to do what's called burning them in, and they run high current in there till these end electrodes just glow a bright red. In fact, I think they normally put like a piece of paper right about here and wait for it to catch fire, and then they know it's done. This guy would do most of them by eye though, so he would know when they're working. So what I was thinking is we'd see if some of these old drivers still work. I haven't tried these in, God, a long time, 20, 25 years, I don't know. Long time, so it'll be kind of fun to play with them. So first let's get this camera to sit still right about here. And I've got a 12-volt car battery sitting up here, so we can power the thing off 12 volts. Let's get that set up. Let's grab all kinds of different drivers. Have absolutely no idea if these are good, bad, or indifferent. But a lot of these, let's turn the screen again so I can see what's going on. A lot of these were homemade, and some of them were bought, because you can tell that this is perf board and then the whole thing's been dipped But basically you've got a high voltage transformer here, and you'll have a basic transistor drive oscillator to kick it up, not only to high voltage but high frequency. So let's take that driver, and I'm assuming this red wire is going to be the high voltage out. Probably should be sitting this on some bubble wrap so it doesn't short out onto the metal table that we're sitting on here. Okay. And then let's take another clip and go the ground side to the neon tube. And then that just leaves connecting the neon driver up to the battery. And let's get on the negative side, like so. And here's the positive wire. Oh, it's right there. Hey, it's working. So the little driver still works. Cool. So basically, when I did my Robby, since I wanted all the tubes to operate individually as it was seen in the movie Forbidden Planet, I would have a driver, not necessarily that one, but of that style. Let's see what else is in here. Here you see, here's a more professional looking style. Basically, it's going to be about the same circuit, it's just potted in a box. And here's a physically smaller one, but again, it looks very homemade. Entire thing looks like it's been dipped, rubber dipped. You can actually see the driver there. Probably about the same thing as the black ones. But there'd be one driver for every tube in Robby's mouth, and of course in Robby's mouth, every tube is a different length, bend, arc. So like I say, I pre-bent all those copper pipes to look the way it was supposed to look, and had the guy make the tubes, hook the drivers up. Then I built an electronic circuit that wasn't just sound activated to light more tubes as the sound got louder, but there was a feedback. When an upper tube would get triggered, it would then turn off a lower tube, and the lower tube was cascaded down to another tube. So you would end up getting a flickering effect between all of the tubes as the speech happened. Made it very, very nice. Let's see what else we got in here. Because I know we got, oh, look at this. Here we got there's two things you might find interesting. Here's one of Robby's smallest tubes. Look at that little guy. We're going to power him up too and see what he looks like. And here's half of a B9 tube set, the upper half. The lower half is in mine is a separate piece. It was easier to do that. They don't break, and it's easier to line them up. Let's find out if we can make these things light up too while we're playing around here. So let's go to the little guy. Even with just one wire connected, you can get it to light, the high frequency, but it should get brighter here. There we go. And we can really cook it in there. So that worked out really well. Not bad. Let's get the little Robby tubes out of the way. Get these battery clips off before I short something out. There we go. Get that off. I don't know what the camera's looking, and I can't see the screen. Probably looking at nothing. If so, I'm sorry. Pretty much looking at nothing. Okay, I'm going to put these two tubes where I won't break them, hopefully. I'm going to grab a larger power supply for the B9. Let's go with an AC plug-in supply. Again, it could be a defective supply for all I know. I don't normally hang on to stuff that's defective, but you never know. Now I got some AC power. Here's the tubes. Let's connect these up. It's always good to have spare tubes around because you never know when you're going to do something stupid and break one. Okay, I think either this transformer is not strong enough for that tube, or the tube may need to warm up and be on for a while. Got another transformer here. Let's give it a whack. Let's see how this one doesn't even have an on-off switch. Alright, let's you do need to exercise your neon from time to time. A lot of them don't like being off for long periods of time. Every now and then it's good to run them. That's why I have a switch on my Robby out in the hut where I can just lock the tubes on. Like in most of the shots where we're talking, I just have all the tubes lit. It's because it's good to let them burn in and get warm and be exercised every now and then. Oh, yeah, look. That baby drives that real nice. Probably overloading the camera, right? I could light up the room with that puppy. Okay, well, I don't think there's anything else about the neon out here in the shop that we can talk about. But I do have, and I'll bring it over to the camera. We got this, this. And again, adjust things so I can tell what we're looking at. This and this. These are silicone rubber molds for doing the gloves. Can you kind of see down in there? So when I would do a hard resin glove, hollow cast, in my case, I would support the upper part of this thing with this PVC plastic ring, which I would drill holes in so the resin could flow into it and it would bite into it. I'd dump some resin in there and just slurry it around like this till you get a nice wall thickness. And the resin that I use would usually set up in 2 or 3 minutes. So you got to work fast and do a hollow cast that way. Do the same thing if I was casting a set of the gloves in a flexible urethane. Dump it in, swirl it around, let it set up. And I also did flexible urethane ones that were solid, which are real heavy, but they'll last forever and they're good for display. So let's, I think it's over this way. I'll give you where I'm going to be digging around. It's going to be over here. Let's get these 2 molds put away. Like so. And I'm not sure. One of these boxes. Oh, yeah, here we go. I'll grab, ooh, yeah. Again, I gotta flip this screen around so I can tell when I'm in frame. So this is a solid hollow cast left hand, Robby's left hand. That would have come from that mold, for example. And this is a solid flexible urethane. So it's, you know, feels a lot like those fishing lures and stuff like that. That's very flexible and been dumped in there. I've also done them in hollow like this. In fact, my Robby out in the Robothut has his left hand is a hollow cast flexible one, and his right hand is a solid resin one because it's holding the blaster gun. But I think that's about it for Robby out here. If we ever do a set of videos on Johnny 5, then I got quite a few of the molds and extra pieces and stuff like that up here in some of these boxes, because I can see TM, that's Time Machine parts, J5, that's Johnny 5, Johnny 5, and there's a Johnny 5 box down there. I don't know what's in all of them. We'd have to dig around, but I think I do have, you might find this interesting. I can't give you a good picture because I didn't do any digging, but underneath that crumpled piece of cardboard, and if this generator was pulled out of the way, underneath this packing blanket, there's this large black fiberglass shape, and that fiberglass shell is what supports a very large silicon rubber mold, which is capable of hollow casting Robby's entire upper head. Not the dome, but the whole inside head with the mouth and all that as one piece. And there is probably somewhere between $400 and $600 worth of silicon rubber and fiberglass resins to make that big mold. But thought you might find that interesting, and I think, ooh, yeah, I can't get to it either, but on the other side of my my robot cart here, which by the way you can watch a video of me driving this whole robot cart in the Elk Days Parade, way back there where my finger's pointing in that dark back in there, there's actually the wood slug that you saw in my pictures of when I was making the Robby domes. The first one that pulled the very first one, and then I used one of the first pulls to then make a high heat resin slug. Well, the original wood slug is sitting right back there. So that's still with us. And back here, upside down, this is a 2-part large fiberglass mold of Robby's legs and lower abdomen sandwiched together. And the way that's normally done, well, you could do it 2 ways. One, you can clamp them together and reach down there and try to glass it, but normally you would glass each half on the inside separately and then glass the 2 halves together. But when I didn't need walking Robbies, which, like I say, I only did 1 walking costume, the rest of them just needed to stand there. You want the only load-bearing part in the project, which would be the legs, to be of something very solid. So I normally would do the legs in fiberglass so that it could be load-bearing and very strong. Whereas the rest of the parts, like Robby's body, arms, head, all that, I would just hollow cast those in resin. So I think that's it. I think that made the video long enough. Talk to you later.